In this video, I'm going to show you how to make a basic granny square. I'm going to break it down into 3 easy steps and show you that once you master this technique, it really is as easy as 1, 2, 3. If I show you on a granny square that has been made with 3 different colours, I can show you the 3 steps clearer. The first step, step 1, is making the sides and the corners so that we can then work corners and sides as we progress with our granny square. The sides are made up of granny stitch and the corners are created from chains. For this square, I have chained 2 to create the corners. But this is the beauty of a granny square. You can do more chains to make it looser, or you can do less chains to make the corner tighter. It really is up to you, and that's what makes this stitch so versatile. Step 1, which is creating the foundation for our granny square. In this round, we would create 4 sides and 4 corners. As I mentioned, the sides are made up of granny stitches, and for this tutorial I'm working in UK trebles. So let's get started. The first thing we're going to do is do round 1, and this creates the sides and the corners ready for our second round. You will notice here that I have a hole in the centre, and as we're learning the granny square, we're going to be doing a chain to start with. As you progress and get more advanced with your crocheting, then you can do a magic ring. But don't worry, if you didn't want the hole to be in there, I've left a length of yarn and I can go through all these stitches at the back with this yarn and pull it tight to close that gap. But I think it looks really nice, so I'm going to leave it as a hole. I'm using a 5mm hook and it's an Aran weight yarn. A top tip when starting to learn crochet is to have a larger hook. Here, as I say, I have a 5 and slightly thicker yarn. This makes it easier to see the stitches. You'll see on the ball of yarn, they give you a guide of what hook or needle size to use on the back. But if you go up a hook size, you'll find it much easier to see the stitches. We have our yarn here that's coming from the ball, and that's called the working yarn. We have this end here, and that's the tail. Lay your working yarn down and place the tail over the top. Grab your working yarn and push it through the loop that we've created and pull it through. We insert our hook and then pull the working yarn. If you pull that as opposed to the tail, it's going to close. We don't pull it too tight or you're going to struggle to get the loop off over the hook at the end. We have our tail and our working yarn. Take the working yarn and we want to bring it over the back of the hook and slip the loop that's on the hook over the end of the hook, and that will create a chain. We work 4 of these. We've just done 1. We bring the yarn from over the back of the hook, and you can see here that I'm grabbing the chain as it's created and pulling over the hook. That's 2. Take the yarn over the back of the hook and take the loop over for 3, yarn over the hook, pull that loop over the end for 4. When you're first starting out, you may find it easier to do a 5 or a 6 chain. A 4 chain is quite small and it will give you a smaller hole, and it is a little bit more tricky to work into. So if you want to do 5 or 6 chain here, then go ahead and work some more. To make the ring to work our first round of granny stitches in, we're going to close the round with a slip stitch. And to do that, we insert our hook into the first stitch. We don't want to go into the slip knot because that will undo. We want to go in that first chain stitch, and we insert, yarn over, and we pull over both loops. It's created a really small hole. If you've done more stitches in the chain, your hole will be slightly bigger. But this is where we want to work all our stitches of the first round in. The top tip is to slip stitch into the hole so that your working yarn and loop are in the centre, ready to get going. Now, some people do work over this strand as they go round, which is a really great tip if you're not going to be closing the hole. But at the moment, I'm undecided whether I'm going to pull that in to form what would look like a magic ring. So I'm going to leave that loose and not work over it. We're going to be working in UK trebles. And that is a fairly tall stitch, and we need to get to the height for that stitch, and we chain 3. 1, 2, and 3. Remember, a chain is yarn over the back of the hook and pull the loop over. We've now got a chain 3, and this will count as our first treble. To work the sides of the first round, this is the first step of the 1, 2, 3, we need 3 trebles for each of our sides. This chain 3 counts as our first treble. We need to do 2 more treble to complete our first side. For the treble, we yarn over before we insert into that centre, and yarn over and pull through. There are 3 loops on the hook. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. That is our second treble, although it's only our first real treble, because remember, the chain 3 is just pretending to be one. We've got 1 and 2, and now we want to work the third. Yarn over before we insert it into the hole, yarn over, pull through, 3 loops on the hook, yarn over and pull through 2, and yarn over and pull through 2. We now have our first side complete. To make the corner, we chain 2. Yarn over, pull the loop over for 1, and yarn over, pull the loop over for 2. That is our corner complete, but it won't form until we start making the next side. The side stitch is 3 treble. Yarn over, insert into the ring, yarn over, pull through, 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2. You can now see we have a hole for our corner. We've got one side and one corner fully complete. We've worked 1 treble of our next side. We need to work 2 more. Yarn over, insert into the hole, yarn over and pull through. 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over, pull through 2. We repeat that once more to complete our side stitch. And now we have 2 sides and 1 corner. To create the second corner, we chain 2. Work 3 trebles to create the third side. Yarn over, insert, yarn over, pull through, 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. We repeat that twice more. So we have 3 trebles in our third side. Now we've completed 1 side, 2 side, 3 and 2 corners. Work our third corner with a chain 2, and then we form it once our fourth side has been started. We work 3 treble. Now we have 1, 2, 3, 4 sides, but we only have 3 corners. Chain 2, that will create the fourth corner, and then we finish that corner off by inserting it into the top of that chain 3 at the beginning. Sometimes it's a little bit hard to count up, so a top tip is to actually work backwards. Each of these stems is a treble stitch, and located at the top of that stem is a tiny little oval that belongs to it, and it just sits to the right. So that oval belongs to that treble, that oval belongs to that treble, so that means that the one next to that oval has to be the top of the chain 3, and that's where we're going to work. We work into that top and we close with a slip stitch, and that is step 1. And in step 1 we have formed the 4 sides and the 4 corners. For this tutorial, I'm going to carry on with the same colour yarn. This is a personal choice and something that I've done since I actually started crocheting. I always start my next round in a corner. That will hide the chain 3. To do that, I'm going to work a slip stitch in the back loop only of the left stitch, and then the next stitch in the back loop only. You have a V at the top of the stitch, so the back loop is the back of the V, so that's where you would work into, and then I'm going to finally work a slip stitch into the corner. So now the hook and the loop are sitting in the corner where I want them to be to start round 2. As we're working in that tall stitch, we're going to chain 3. This will give us the height, but remember, it will count as our first stitch. Now this is step 2 of our granny square. In the first round, we formed the basis of the sides and the corners. And now we're going to work the corner stitch in each of these corners that will be repeated throughout the square. If I bring this one in, we can see here that we have our sides and our corners, and then from then on we have corners where all the corners were. And as we work in a square, you're going to have 4 corners in each round, and they will always be in the same place. To create these corner stitch, we work 3 treble, chain 2 and 3 treble in each of the corners. Apart from the first one, because this has a chain 3 to get us to our height. To do this, we work 2 further trebles that will count as our 3 trebles. This is the only corner that this will work in, because once we've done the height that we need, we can then just continue around with treble stitches. The 3 treble complete the first half of our corner. The chain 2 will create the corner space when we do our next round. And then if we work 3 more treble in that same space, it will complete the second half of our corner. We now have the first corner complete, and it's made up of 3 treble, chain 2, 3 treble, but remember the first corner will always have that chain 3 that counts as its first treble. We repeat the sequence of 3 treble, chain 2, 3 treble in each of the remaining 3 spaces from the first round. We don't do anything in between, we just hop from one corner straight into the next one. Yarn over, insert into that next corner, yarn over, pull through, 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, first treble. Repeat twice more to form the first half of our corner. Chain 2, that will make our space for the next round, and 3 more treble into the same space to form the second half of the corner. We now have 2 corner stitches and 2 spaces remaining. We work the same stitch in that next space, 3 treble, chain 2 and 3 treble, all in the same space. It's really important to keep that working yarn running free. I like to pull a little bit out of the ball each time so that there's no resistance there. One of the hardest things when learning crochet is getting your tension right, and if you're having the yarn ball pull against you, it's going to make it tight, and we want to keep a nice fluid tension. We've now done 3 corners. We're going to do the last one in that last space, 3 treble, chain 2, 3 treble in the same space. We've now completed our 4 corners, but this is left hanging. So to close the round, we want to work in the top chain of that chain 3, we're going to do our little trick of working backwards. That oval belongs to that treble. That oval belongs to that treble. That means that we need to work into that stitch next to it. Yarn over and pull both loops over. And that's the second step of the 3-step granny square. We've now worked the first step and the second step. And I'm pleased to say that that's the hard part out of the way. The third step will now be on repeat for as large as you want your granny square to be. The great thing about these little squares is you don't have to do any increasing. Every time that you work a corner stitch, you're going to be adding a side stitch, but the granny square does it for you. We start off with our first, and then we have our second, and third and fourth and fifth. And from the third onwards, the only thing that changes is each time we have an extra side space between the corners. But this is done all for you, so you don't have to do anything. For this granny square, I have done a chain 1 instead of a chain 2. And that means that the space between the corners is a little bit tighter. This is just a personal preference to me, but it's also a fantastic opportunity for you to have a play and work out which one you like best. There are actual patterns that have more chains on purpose in the corner, so you get this beautiful effect going across the diagonals. This is now the repeat round. I like to be in the corner when I start, and to do that, in the back loop only, I slip stitch across until I get to the corner and slip stitch into the corner. We're now where we need to be to start the third round. Chain 3 to give us the height for our first our trebles. Work 2 further trebles to make the first half of the corner. Chain 2 to create the space for the next round, and 3 treble to complete the corner. In round 2, we were able to hop over to the next corner, but this time we have a space in between the corners, and this is where we work our side stitch. Yarn over, insert into that space, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and we work 3 trebles in this space to create our side stitch. We're now at the corner, and remember, a corner stitch is always worked in the corner. 3 treble, chain 2, 3 treble in the same space, side stitch in between the corners, 3 treble, we're at the next corner and work our corner stitch of 3 treble, chain 2, 3 treble, side stitch in between the 2 corners, our final corner of 3 treble, chain 2, 3 treble. And to complete the last side, we work a side stitch in the space in between the 2 corners. Close the round with the 3rd chain of that chain 3. That one belongs to that, that belongs to that, so that one goes in there, and we work a slip stitch. And that is how you work a granny square.